I Was Not Made for This Life is a video that Life Outrage posted maybe more than a month ago at the time of recording this video right here, right now. But each and every day, I've been thinking about what he said in that video. And I realized, like, why does it irk me so much? Why do I care about what he said? And I started thinking, like, man, and I'm assuming if you haven't watched this video, check out the link in the description below. I'll put, the reference video. And even if you have not, basically what I'm saying in short is that it's like I literally was thinking the same way that Life Outrage was. And I was trying to deny it to myself, if I'm being honest. The video was basically what? It's, hey, I wasn't meant for this life. If I want to do something, I wish I could do it without anyone's permission. If I want time off, if I want to just, have an idea and work on it, no one should say no. I should be able to just do it, right? Which I think is like at any human's kind of core, it's like we're not here thinking, let me, I'm out of my mother's womb and immediately it's like work, 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 let's work and create, production and productivity in the economy for gross domestic product GDP. And let's see, my country be the number one producer of whatever, right? Like this is not real, right? Like money is not real, money's made up. So everything that Life Outrage was saying, I was a little outraged myself, pun intended, where I was like, dude, like, what is this mentality? Why are you, in this situation? And I realized because I was in it when I was, and it's been many years since then, I'm thinking this video is me instead of like, just kind of crapping on the idea. It's how did I go from there to what is that next step? Like, actually, though, like with like constructive, useful information instead of just like gossip or video reaction type of content, right? Because we have a lot of garbage on, line online and whatever. So let's keep it going. For me, it's like this. I was like, okay, so I started working in corporate America and I was like, all right, what is this slavery I got myself into? School to me was fun because it wasn't just about grades. I was crushing it. But why? Because the people around me, they were basically known to like study like crazy, and getting grades wasn't like uncool. It was like, oh, hey, getting good grades. If you got a B, it's like, oh, why are you kind of stupid? Like, this is like, you're not going to be a friend of mine because you're not a part of like the cool people crew, which I guess studying, very nerdy traditionally was just fine. So your boy, me, basically got like a 4.0 GPA throughout, whatever, when one of to like the top engineering schools in the world. And I started working corporate America, and I was like, whoa, 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 what is this nonsense? Like legit, what is this? Like this is ridiculous. Like if I paid time off, I'm taking it off. People are looking at me like, oh my gosh, look at him, he's taking his paid time off. I'm like, what is there to think? Right? Like it's like a benefit. Like I guess this is how work works, right? Like how school, like, hey, St. Patrick's Day is off, so not really, but like spring break is off the whole week, and you have no responsibilities per se, quote unquote, just depending how you're raised, like as a kid, traditionally from just like school input. So I was like, okay, like the long short of all of this, right? If you watch Life Outrage's video, is basically like, why can't we have the things we want so easily? And it's basically complaining and just being outraged at life. I get it. And later on, what happened to me is I went through this kind of experience where it's like, okay, hey, I'm just complaining, I hate my life, like I hate whatever's going on. And obviously it's all relative, right? Like if you're poor, there's usually a joke. Like if you're poor, you're in poverty, you have one problem, man. Like a millionaire could have a million problems, like where do I park my car because it's a Porsche and I don't want it to be broken into, or oh my gosh, do I get wine or do I get champagne? Like first world problems, as they say, right? When you're poor, you got one problem, you literally just have no money. So you're like, I need to, get more money to then not have more problems. But like, when you solve the first thing, then there's always like, oh, these new problems that are just made up because you're basically on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like you have like the base kind of, all right, shelter, water, food, whatever. And eventually it's kind of more internal facing where it's like, all right, everyone's cool with you, you're cool with everyone, but can you live with yourself? So what I learned is, all right, after complaining comes what? Because I realized my energy, I was spending so much of it just hating the system. The system sucks. Why is it set up this way? Oh, so they made up money and now a few people own everything. Like a few, let's just say, right? Like 100 people, if they owned 8 billion people's time or worth, or even 1,000 people or even 10K people, right? Owning basically the time of 8 billion people on this universe, where outside of the people in forests and jungles and random islands and whatnot, if you're part of like, the system of, hey, go to school 9 to 5, eventually after you're trained in school to basically go to a 9 to 5, and you have two breaks, one for lunch, one a short break. And that kind of is the same setup for what work was traditionally supposed to be. So in theory, it all makes sense, right? Like you're just training this labor force like they're sheep just to, follow the thing, do the thing, check boxes, and you're, successful and doing the right thing and all this nonsense, right? So we call it nonsense, but in the end, if I ask the honest question of if you're not going to do it, then who is, right? Like literally, if I don't want to work, how can I expect somebody else to work? How I can is basically having leverage over said individual. So now I'm going over to, instead of complaining, what is the answer, or what is the truth of the matter that I figured out? And what am I okay with, right, from an ethical perspective? So what I'm personally okay with, if you look at the three kind of metrics or the pillars of, saying like we're successful or whatever, right? If you say time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom. If we look at it in the standard, kind of issue of where, this sucks, right? Even if you spend time on the journey and the journey's hard and enjoy the journey and you'll learn a lot coming through it, the point is you're spending time to go through this journey, and during that time, like unless if it's fully remote or the location really didn't matter and you're doing this hard thing, right? Even if you have location freedom, most people basically generally have maybe two but not three, because if you have three, then usually there's nothing to complain about. If you have all the time in the world, all the money in the world, it can be anywhere you want in the world. I mean, sure, you can complain, but like then it comes down to more like health wealth relationships type of other pillars, where like sure, your health maybe sucks, maybe no one likes you, but the point is you have agency over yourself. And so I'm laughing because like I do realize like there are other things that matter to others and vice versa, right? So the answer is what? I'm not saying grow up and go make money, and when you earn money like you'll be free. That's not the case. I'm just confronting the fact of okay, you can have all the money, but if you're working to get said money, and let's say you travel for work, or you can travel the world however you please, but you're basically a slave to the way you earn money. And once that money goes away, maybe you can't actually travel all across the world because you can't basically afford to. Let's just say it like that way. And when you have all the time in the world but no money, then and if you can't go anywhere, it just sucks, right? So like you can kind of figure this out for yourself. What matters to you the most, and how do you get all three? Because if you get all three, then there's no reason to complain at a very like high level. So what I realized, I was like, all right, well, how do I do it? I can either, look at it like basically convincing people, right, to do something. And in today's economy, at the time of recording, like back in the day, it was industrial revolution, then slowly the technological revolution. Now we're talking about the attention economy, where it's like, oh, hey, you're watching this video and you're spending time on this video, so that means the platform is having more eyeballs, and more eyeballs mean more ads, and more ads means you are getting this for basically free but spending time to watch ads. So who's the consumer in the end? You are. Who's the one who's actually getting paid? Obviously the platform. So even though it feels free, it's not really free. So that's how they say, right? If the product is free, then you basically are the one who is the product. In other words, like Facebook and data, Uber and data, even though it's like, taxi cab point A to point B, it's about like Google Maps, like knowing where you're going, Google keyboard on iOS versus Android. They know what you're typing. They know, even if you don't use Google, somebody else knows Apple, what you're searching because of XYZ, and they try to personalize target ads. So without going into all of that tangent, the thing is, it's basically about, from an individual perspective, can you convince people, right, to basically give you money? That's kind of what the job is. If you're not working under somebody, then you got to convince others why you deserve them to, get why you deserve to get money from the counterparty. And if you don't want to do that, then you have to go work. And if you don't want to work, then right, there's no other option other than complaining or figuring it out. So, in other words, I basically agreed and decided with myself, I'm not going to sit here and complain for the rest of my life. Like, it hurts me more to complain and do nothing than try to do something. And so, if I'm not convincing people, then on like a traditionally just literally networking and meeting people and hey, buy my whatever course, my product. Back in the day, like MLM, network marketing. MLM is like pyramid schemes like Herbalife, Amway, all these things, right? So if you're not doing it with people, then maybe you can post online and maybe the algorithm gives you a million views because now you're able to scale, yourself to everyone on this platform. And apart from like the platform, hating you or banning you or shadow banning you or all these things, basically you got to do something is what I'm trying to say. Because there's always something to complain about, right? Like, do I wish I had a little more coffee maybe before this video? But then the real thing is, do I wish I could have slept and took a nap before filming this video? Could I, there's a bunch of like these are minutia things I'm talking about, right? Like nuance. But this nuance, there's always some garbage to complain about. So what I'm trying to say is I'm not holier than thou. I'm making this video because at the end and in the middle, Life Outrage said, hey, I know there's others like me. And it was basically his first video on the channel, 47,000 views or something at the time of me recording this. And I look at it like, I can have it two ways, as I said. I can either, just say bad, like negative things, or I can actually help the conversation of like, how do we do this, right? How can people do this? And the crappiest thing to say out loud is, I think, in general, at a very high level, society set up where like, all right, whether you call it traditional retirement, social security, and all these things, it's basically the younger class needing to work. But now it's come to the point where like the younger and new people, they can't advance, and so they keep on working. And are they really working for the new generation? Not necessarily, because it almost feels now, and you may agree with me, that this is kind of like the last generation of, people traditionally saying, yeah, let's get married, let's have kids, let's, all the things, not even American dream, like white picket fence, 2 cars, a couple of pets, like not even that far, right? It's like people are not getting married. And many people are like, dude, if this world sucks, like, why would I want to bring a kid into it? Why would I want to pay for a kid? Kids cost whatever, $250,000 over the lifetime by the time they're 18 and yada, yada, yada. Like, it's not about the money, man. Like, money's not even real. So if you want to put life into this world, go do it, right? Oh, you can't pay back debt. Oh, sucks. Oh, hospital bills, medical. Oh, sucks. The person's alive. We have life. The numbers are made up. Go declare bankruptcy. It's okay. 7 years, it's off your record. Go work. Go figure it out. Go beg. Not beg, but add value, right? Because begging ain't going to get you anywhere, typically speaking. So in the end, complaining can only get us so far. And I think this video is really saying, figure out that next step, because you're just going to complain, complain, complain till the rock bottom phase, which is where I was. And then I realized I'm at rock bottom. There's no more bottom. No one's coming to save me. I can only save myself. There's no guarantee. And I can't go further down. So what's the other direction? It's only going up. And when I realized that, it's like I'm getting like memories of that moment. I was like, I don't care if I hit a rock bottom again, because I know that there's no point of staying there. It's, I'm trying to watch my language, but it's useless. And it's only upwards, and you can do it. Because if you don't, it really sucks to stay there. That's what I'm trying to say indirectly. So the pain of doing nothing is better than doing something. And it doesn't need to be hard or difficult, but it can be better than just writhing in your own pain for no absolute human reason. Yeah, the world sucks, right? The world probably sucked before. And everyone says, oh, the world sucked even longer before because there was no safety. You could, just appear and you're dead by some cheetah or zebra or whatever, right? But now we're in a different game, right? Where humans are controlling other humans, basically, right? So how much do you want to be controlled, right? That's why they have concepts of FU money, right? Like how much to say no to everyone else. But when you know how money works and how assets and everything works, you never really own it. There's something called the government, right? And I'm not trying to say they're negative or not. That's not the point of this video or in general. I'm just saying that, yeah, technically there always is somebody, but how can you become that somebody in the back end, right? So the best you can do in today's age, the final line, I think, is basically, hey, if you're not born into it, it's not just what I do or what I think of doing or anything. It's what you could do too, is be a broker. Be as close as you can to basically the faucet of money or power or whatever. And the closer you are, sure, the sun can burn you, yeah, but if you don't try to go all the way, to the stars, at least you may land on the moon and get closer, not to just somewhere you want, but maybe a lot farther than you could have ever imagined. So I'll leave us with that. But thank you, Life Outrage, for making the video. And hope to see more from you soon. And whoever came this far, thanks for coming to the end. Peace.